we're going to tie today's Mother Day into environment. How about that? So I want us, this is what I want you to say in your mind. Open your eyes. Just think for a minute about open your eyes. That's our next slide, Jada. Open your eyes. What do we have up there? Open your eyes. It is so easy So here's a question for the parents. How many parents stopped pondering long enough to see who is really sitting in front of you or beside you? It is very easy to lose as parents, grandparents. Even when I was working on this last night, I really just sat and cried. Because you see your children as they are. You don't see them as who they're going to become. And who your children become is 100% going to be tied and connected to the environment that you, Mom, have created. I am the product of my parents' environment. Now, that's not 100%. That's not blame. But we don't realize how much of who we are is because the environment our parents intended or intentionally or unintentionally created. Your home is an environment. And it's so easy to get caught up in your home life and family life that you forget what is actually occurring. The daily life, the daily distractions, the daily busyness, the daily demands, the daily pressures. But Luke 2:19, let's look at Luke 2:19. But Mary was keeping within herself all these things, weighing and pondering them in her heart. I don't know that I know what my mother pondered. I don't know if my mother knew what the assignment was for her life. Honestly, I don't know how many parents, or especially mothers, because it's Mother's Day, really know what the assignment is that you have. I think too many times we are in a role instead of in an assignment. We're looking at what society says I'm supposed to be doing, and am I doing it a good job? And we're comparing ourselves to other women, seeing if I do as good of a job as they are doing, and you can't see the environment that is in their home. But it said Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. She didn't preach. She didn't perform. And she didn't have all the answers. But she pondered this young child in her heart. Ponder means to slow down. To slow down and pay attention to what's going on around you, in your family, in your children. It's to sit and say, what is God doing in my children, not what you're doing. See, we get our society, there's a big difference between what God wants and what society pressures us. We think that we have to have our children, hello, y'all listening to me, right? We think we have to have our children in every extracurriculum activity. We have to have our children to experience everything that we did not experience. We want them to not have any lack that we had. And even though we're doing that, we're still creating another environment for our children that can be totally as devastating or as uplifting as the environment that we came from. I did not grow up in a good environment. I grew up with Christian parents, but they just did not know anything about environment. It was just a home. It was a shelter. It was never went hungry, never was abused, but I did not grow up. The absence of what they did had more effect on me than what they did. The absence. And all that environment that I was in, I've had to unlearn it. I've had to go back and look at it. It seemed normal to me, and as an adult it seems normal, but then I look at it and say, this is not normal. So when it says she pondered, it just means she slowed down. Now that's the question for you moms today is, how well do you slow down and ponder your kids? See, we scroll, but we don't ponder. Isn't it something that we may scroll more than we ponder about our kids? We react, but we don't ponder. We survive, but we don't ponder. We move fast through life, but we don't ponder. And this is a significant scripture about Mary, that it said she pondered her child. And I think about, what did my mom think about me, and what did she ponder about me? I don't know. But you have an opportunity today to begin to slow down and to ponder so you're not moving so fast. See, some things must be carried slowly, observed slowly, and paid attention to in order to see what's going on in that child's life. When we react, we're seeing the things we don't like. But what are the things that we see? If someone could ask you right now, so what do you see in your child? I would say that most of us would respond with what we currently have them doing. We currently have our children playing basketball. We currently have our children in jiu-jitsu. We currently have our children in dance. We currently have our children in baseball. We currently have our children in school. Those are current things. That's not pondering, that's observation. Pondering is where you sit looking at your child, talking to the father, asking him, what do you see in my child so I can help you achieve what you want to achieve in my child? See, Mary, we go look at Mary just for a few minutes. See, Mary was carrying more than a child. She was carrying a mystery. Think about who Mary was carrying. She was carrying purpose. She was carrying possibility. She was carrying redemption. She was carrying Jesus, the Son of God. Now, well, my child is not Jesus, but what possibilities do you see in your child? What do you see in your child that you are cultivating and that you are helping them shape? Because I would say that my mom and dad, I would say that many parents are not doing, I want to be careful with this. I don't know if we're not doing much more than the animal world. We provide food, shelter, a bed to sleep in, a safe place until you get of age and you're gone. And you need to find out what your purpose is and what do you want to go to college for. And if you notice, children, they change. They want to do this. They want to be a fireman, and then they want to be a policeman, and then they want to go in the military, and then they want to do this and want to do that. And it's constantly changing, and parents agree with the changes instead of seeing what that child. You can look at your child and tell pretty well if that child has the demeanor or the skills in a very low level if they're going to be in a certain field. If you don't like school, you're probably not going to be a doctor. Okay? You probably go be a tradesman. That might be the area. If you don't like certain things, it kind of, you can start observing and watching this. And I wonder why God picked Mary. He picked her. He chose her. And he chose your child and gave you, moms, your child to see what you would do with your children. That's a big responsibility. That's a huge responsibility. See, culture was busy judging Mary, but Mary was busy pondering. This pondering is a thing. So today I want to ask, how many parents, how many of you have stopped pondering? If you were to sum up however old your child is, however old they are, how much pondering have you done? Not a passing thought. Not watching them perform or do something. How much time have you spent pondering? This is a shift. This message is about a shift. It's not too late to begin to ponder and to begin to, your child is being directed by environment and influence. So how much environment are you allowing to take place on your child to cause them to go into a direction that you think is healthy for them? It's not about what the child is doing today. It really is about what the child is becoming. What is your child becoming? When you look at them, what do you see them becoming? I'm not talking again about looking at them and saying, well, they're 10 years old and 10 to 12. Now they're becoming preteens. Now they start having body changes and hormone changes and looks. And then at 13, well, they're starting to have a voice change. No, those are biological things that occur. I'm talking about the shaping of your child with the environment and the influence that are you putting in your life. You can create children. You are responsible for creating children, not for you to live vicariously through or to be like you, but you're shaping them to be good soil. You are a soil shaper. So today, I just want to start with saying we honor and love all the moms in this room. We honor you. We love you. We thank you for all that you're doing, all that you have done. We thank you for being a life giver. So today, you're going to receive cards, and you're going to receive meals, and you're going to receive honor, and you're going to receive flowers, and all that has its place in recognizing your contribution to the family. There would be no family without you. So thank you this morning. But I want to shift this about environment because modern culture has taught us you have a role to play, but God has never given you a role. God has given you an assignment. There's a difference between your role as what mothers do. I hear that's just what mothers do, right? You've heard that before. That's just what fathers do. That's a role. An assignment is not what you do. An assignment is intentionality that I am preparing you to what you're going to become. So culture says what we're doing this morning, culture says celebrate all the moms. We celebrate the youngest, and then we do the tradition. We want to give a flower to the youngest mom and a flower to the oldest mom. We celebrate moms, and we celebrate moms that has the most kids, and celebrate the grandmoms who have the most grandkids, and we acknowledge that good, but heaven says, I don't want you to celebrate just the mom. I want you to celebrate and recognize what you are carrying. Do you realize, and I know that I really haven't through my journey, do you realize what you're carrying? We think we're building a family, which has truth to it. But what are you carrying? Can you imagine? Because Diane and I talk a lot, and you see the pregnant women walking around, they always touching their belly or holding it up or just always touching it. What are you carrying? And this message and this what we're talking about is not just for moms, but everyone in this room. You are carrying something. And if I were to ask you, what are you carrying? I don't know what I'm carrying. What are you carrying? It's more than a child. It's more than building a family. You're not just a caretaker. I want to tell moms, you are a carrier. You are a cultivator. You are a climate setter. You are the environment that your children are going to grow up in. See, heaven entrusted you with something. I want to say heaven entrusted you with formation, the ability to form your child. Heaven entrusted you with an atmosphere. You're going to help your child know who they are and develop their identity. You're going to nurture your child. You're going to create an emotional culture and climate. And here's the big one. You're going to have a generational transfer. You are going to create the next generation who will know God, who will vote, who will be married, who will be parents. And I think we just get lost in the busyness of family and culture that we lose sight of what we're doing. So we celebrate mothers once a year. You realize that once a year is a big day for mothers. But the job you're doing is carrying is for decades. Diane is still carrying and shaping atmosphere for her children and grandchildren, even though it is different. So when we look at Mary, what do you see and think of Mary? I want to say we see a manger scene. I want to say we see a Christmas character. I want to say that we see Mary on a stained glass in a church. But Mary was more than that. So she was a teenager. Anybody want to guess how old Mary was approximately? She was between 14 to 16 years of age. 2 years older than Rania. 1 or 2 years older than Amelia. She was roughly a little bit younger than Jada. She was 12 to 14 years of age, and she was carrying a scandal. I know she's carrying Jesus, but you have to understand, she was carrying a scandal. She was pregnant with no marriage. She was pregnant with no husband. She was pregnant and couldn't explain how she got pregnant. It was a scandal that nobody could explain. She lived in a shame-based culture, meaning in a shame-based culture that her reputation was actually the only way you could survive. If you had a bad reputation as a female in that culture, you were pretty well ruined. You would end up in prostitution, or you would end up in some really bad situation, because it was a different type of culture. For her to be 14 to 16 and pregnant, think about your daughter, if you have one, pregnant at 14. Think about your son having someone pregnant at 14 or 15, and knowing what people would say and neighbors would say and the church would say. Think about the scandal. She had no platform. She had no influence. She had no ability to control the narrative. I wonder what she felt. I wonder what she experienced. I wonder how her emotions actually were. Because at 14 to 16, now her body is changing before she's even married. And it wasn't because of immorality. It was because heaven interrupted her life. Heaven, God chose a 14 to 16-year-old girl. So imagine, I just want you to just ponder for a minute. Imagine waking up every morning knowing your body was telling a story your culture would condemn. Everywhere she went, they would condemn her. Everywhere. There's that 14-year-old girl who is pregnant. Imagine walking through town and everyone's looking at you. See, you wouldn't feel that in Wilmington because you don't know everybody. But if you lived on your street, in your little community, in your little town, you know everybody would be like, can you believe that? She is pregnant and says she don't know how she got pregnant. Wonder who she's hiding. Imagine the women lowering their eyes as they pass by because they wouldn't look at you. Imagine the religious community with their condemnation they would have on both the parents and the young 14-year-old girl. Imagine you hearing young girls say, see, don't end up like her. Don't end up like her. People whispering. Can you imagine the whispers? Can you imagine the town talk? Can you imagine the pressure? Can you imagine? And this is all going through a 14 to 16-year-old girl. See, we just read through this in Mary. But Mary carried a promise inside of her all the while having to deal with, I obeyed. She obeyed and ended up pregnant. How about that? She said yes and ended up pregnant. And now the whole town and the whole village and the whole community and the whole synagogues and the whole religious area, everything is against this young girl. Now, you know young girls. They want to wear the right clothes so they're not laughed at. They want their parents to act a certain way so they're not made fun of. They don't want anything to spot them. Here is a 14-year-old girl that cannot find clothing to hide her stomach. She was chosen by God while feeling exposed. See, we think that when God chooses us, everything's going to go well. Every time God chooses us doesn't mean you're always going to be accepted. And one of the things I realize about religion is religion has the tendency to sanitize Bible characters. When you read about Mary, she's sanitized. When you read about Peter, he's sanitized. When you read about David, he's sanitized. Scripture sanitizes them that when you read them, they're polished, but they're not polished. You have to ponder what it would be like to be in their shoes, to walk in their shoes, to feel what they feel. So Mary was experienced something, but she didn't know the ending. See, you know the ending because you've read the ending scriptures. But Mary had no scriptures to read. She had no end to understand. She had to live in this moment. And see, we read the Bible and we know the ending, and then we think we know the ending to our situation because the Bible gave an ending to them. So we kind of take endings and add to us, which you can't put an ending on your story. Does that make sense? I know this is a little slow, but I want you to catch this, because if we're going to see a generation change and we're going to see the future of our faith be strong, then you can't be a role player. You have to be a climate setter. You have to be an individual who is creating environment. See, we read scriptures, but Mary lived sleepless nights. I bet Mary had many nights she didn't sleep as she laid in bed at 14 years old. What am I going to do as I get further along in this pregnancy? She rehearsed. You know how when you have a situation, you rehearse it over and over before you get there? I was thinking about her rehearsing and going over this story in her mind. I've got to talk to Joseph, who I'm supposed to be marrying, and telling him I'm pregnant. Will Joseph believe me? Now think about you men, all the men in here. If your fiance said, I need to talk to you, Daniel, Kevin, Zach, I know we're engaged, but I need you to know I'm pregnant. How would you respond? Think about how you would respond. I'm done. I'm out of here. Don't tell me you don't know what happened. Will Joseph believe me? Will Joseph leave me? Will my parents think I'm lying? Did somehow I misunderstand God? Why did I obey and now I feel terrified? Can you see the emotions and the feelings that could possibly be going on in her life? So I want to pause just for a moment and try to understand what was going on with Mary and what she's carrying, and be able to help us relate this to Lisa and to Rachel and to Brianna and Amanda and all the young ladies. You are carrying something. Even though your child's been born, you're still a responsible party for what you have been carrying. And maybe you have not really paid much attention to what you have carried thus far, but it's not too late to make that adjustment. See, she carried a mystery she couldn't explain. How do you explain this pregnancy? It's a mystery, and I can't explain it. How do I explain what I'm carrying, the pressure that I'm under? So there's a mystery I'm carrying, there's pressure I'm under, that I have a responsibility upon me that's beyond my maturity. Hello? There was something in this room. Everyone in this say, well, you just can't get pregnant at 12, 13, and 14. You're just not mature enough. You can't handle it. Here is a young 14, 15-year-old girl who is pregnant beyond her maturity. The responsibility is beyond her maturity. And people say, I'm not a good mom. I'm not this. It is beyond your maturity is all. And she had a future going on in her that yet there was no language yet developed for what was happening in her. No one would understand Jesus. Who is Jesus? No one would understand the Son of God. No one would understand one of the third parts of the Trinity inside of it. There was not a language even developed for what was going on. There was no explanation. It was a mystery. I wonder what kind of emotional roller coaster she was under. See, we think favor removes pressure, but Mary proves that favor attracts pressure. I'm touching favor for a moment. See, we think when we're favored by God that we're supposed to have all pressure removed, but Mary proves that when she was favored by God, she attracted pressure. Is that not a different way of thinking? When you're under pressure, I attracted this by God. See, sometimes favor doesn't remove difficulty. Sometimes favor is heaven trusting you. God is saying, I trust you. I'm putting this favor on you. So let's not forget what Scripture says. What did Scripture say about Mary? When the angel approached her and told her he told her she was what? Highly favored. Are y'all following me? I know this isn't a typical Mother's Day message, but I want you to grasp this and understand the assignment that you have. And the men in this room understand that your wives is just not carrying your seed and just not having your babies. They have an assignment. God has permitted you to have an assignment, and your children are on loan from God to you. They're not yours. They're His. And He trusted you to create an environment and an atmosphere for your children to come up in this. So Mary was highly favored, yet she was emotionally stretched, wouldn't you say? She was highly favored, but socially an outcast. Highly favored, but everything going on in her life was not showing any signs of favor. She was physically exhausted. I would say, as we say today, she was probably a mess. So I want you just, husbands, to look at your spouse and saying, thank you for being a carrier. And if you don't have a spouse, just someone else looks and say, thank you, Lacey, for being a carrier. Thank you, Diane, for being a carrier. Thank you, Agnes, for being a carrier. We need a carrier. Here's a carrier. There's a carrier. See, that's her firstborn son, but she's a carrier. She's a carrier. See, we celebrate mothers, but the role of carrying is where is what I'm carrying, what is it going to become? See, why are women carriers? Because, see, Jesus could not get to earth without a womb. He had to come through a womb. He chose a female because he had to come naturally into earth, not on a lightning bolt, not as a spaceship, not as anything. He had to come to earth through a portal, and heaven chose a womb, Mary, who was surrendered. My question to you is, if you are truly a carrier, how surrendered are you? How surrendered are you? He chose Mary because she said, have your way. See, notice Yahweh didn't use a political system. He didn't come through Rome. He didn't come through any other system but through a womb. He didn't come through celebrity influence. He didn't come through religious organizations. He came through a 14 to 16-year-old female who was surrendered, and he said, you're highly favored. Why was she highly favored? Because she surrendered and was willing to take on the pressures of the world, even though she didn't know yet what that would consist of. See, your womb is a doorway. Mary's womb was a doorway for the infinite to step into the finite. It was a doorway for Jesus to come to earth. Before miracles, Jesus was nurtured by a mother. Before Jesus preached publicly, he was carried privately. I see Amanda there holding Elena and rubbing her. Can I tell you, Jesus sat on Mary's lap and she rubbed him and she nourished him and loved him before he ever did a miracle, before he ever preached, before he ever walked on water, before he ever turned water into wine. Before the crowds followed him, he was formed in Mary's environment that she created for him to grow up in. Your home is the environment. Riding in the car is your environment. Sitting and watching TV is your environment. The games, the toys, everything is forming your child to be something, okay? And Jesus did not choose to bypass human development. He didn't bypass it. He could have, but he chose. He chose. See, our American culture teaches mothers to perform, but heaven calls mothers to form their children. I want to challenge mothers here. Stop performing. Stop looking at other moms and saying, well, I need to do this. I need to go here. I need to belong to this. I need my child to do this. I need my child. I want everybody to see how good of a mother you are. Being a good mother is not about what the activities and the involvement in being a good mother is. What type of environment have I formed around you for you to grow up in? Because you're going to be the next generation, and what I have not formed will be a deficit in the next generation. We scroll our environment away. We sleep our environment away. We busy our environment away. And our kids grow up doing things independently of my direct input into their life. Let me say this, and I'm going to be very careful here. I want to say you probably should never have had kids if you're not willing to form them. It's like trying to get people saved, but I don't want to disciple them. I just want you to be saved. I just want to have kids. No, you just want the pleasure of having kids. You want the role of being a family. You want to look like other families and have 2.3 kids and live in a cul-de-sac and have your flags of all the colleges you attend and have your Tahoe. Yeah, we want to be recognized by society, but not formed for God. See, moms, you are the first and the main environment your children grow up in. You are the first environment. And your children, before they understand theology, they absorb the atmosphere. And I use this just as a funny example. Roman, when you go to sleep at night, what do you like hearing? Music? What else? Not anything? Larry Bullard, when him and Cindy traveled, anywhere they'd go, they would pack a fan. When Zach and Lisa travel, they carry a fan. When Zach goes to the park, he carries a fan. That fan is with him. Why? He didn't just pop up with that. That was an environment. It was a noise. It was something that he experienced. Associate. Some people, ceiling fans. None of us come up with these things just on our own. They're environmentally processed on us. The food we eat is how we grew up. You go eat all your food. What do you want? I give you whatever you want. It's environment. We don't understand how big environment is in our children. How our home operates and functions. So before children learn about God, first they're going to absorb the atmosphere. Your home is what they are absorbing to say, this is what normal is. This is how mom and dad is supposed to look. This is how dad talks to mom, treats mom. This is how mom cooks or don't cook. This is how dad takes care of the yard or he don't take care of the yard. Everything is being absorbed by that child before they ever absorbed anything about God. And before they understand identity of who they are, the first thing they're understanding is the tone that you set. Our tone. When you hear someone talk to you, that tone tells you regardless what they're saying, tone will determine whether you take that positively or negatively or sarcastically. The tone matters, what they absorb in the family. And before they understand safety, they must understand the emotional climate in the house. What is the emotional stability? See, children drink from environments before they understand words. How about this? Write this one down if you're a writer. A mother's voice becomes internal dialogue long after the childhood ends. A mother's voice becomes internal dialogue long after childhood's over. Works the same for dad. You will hear dad and mom even when they have passed. You can see their face. You can hear what they would say. See, children, here's another one. This one was really one that I was thinking about my childhood. Children carry the emotional weather of a home into adulthood. Whatever the weather is in Kevin and Rachel's house, whatever the climate and the weather is in Casey and Amanda's house, when those children grow up, they want to create this same type of environment and climate, positive or negatively, because that's what they are most comfortable with. That's what they're familiar with. See, our home is transferring something. It's transferring peace or fear warmth or criticism, tenderness or tension, safety or anxiety. Your home is transferring something to your children all the time. Whether you're even thinking about it, it is transferring. Something is always moving into the next generation. See, environment leaves an imprint. See, the future is being formed. The future is being formed. This is not Amelia. This is not Rania. This is not Shane. See, we see our children right now. This is not a right now issue. You are not forming them for now. You're forming them for the future. If you're not careful, we are surviving the moment. We're trying to get through the terrible twos. We're trying to get through the teenage years. We're trying to get through. This isn't about getting through. This is about forming the next generation. Because Ellery will be one day a mother. Do you see her as a mother now? Not the chocolate thief. Rania is a mother. I just don't want my girl to grow up. You're not, God didn't give you your children to stay where they are. He gave you to form them. How do I want my child? Listen to me. There's nothing you guys got on me or I got on you. Listen, we all have parents that weren't the best parents. But that's not an excuse for me. Well, I just didn't know how. You don't need to know how to be a good parent. You spend time pondering what would make a difference, how God says we're to form. We don't have to be told how to form our children. We have to sit with God and look at our children and say, what do I need to do to make my daughter a wonderful wife, a wonderful cook? Well, I don't cook. So you go allow your excuse not to cook to be passed down to the next generation. That's what you're telling. So you can't cook. That's okay. Put them in cooking school. Put them around Rachel. Put them around Diane. David loves to cook, and his daughter is learning to cook. That is an excuse for you to say, I'm sorry your mom didn't teach you to cook. Okay, no excuses. I am not going to pass down to the next generation. I'm not going to let the next man marry someone who can't cook. I'm not going to let the next person marry someone that their wife don't know how to love their husband and how to submit and how to honor and how to build up. I'm not going to pass this on to the next generation. See, we keep passing it on with excuses for why we are where we are. That is unexcusable. Would you put your child in a school that has an 80% failure rate? No, we're going to find another school. Good. I'm not going to let you repeat my mistakes. I'm not going to let you repeat my hiccups and my issues. I'm not going to pass this on to you. And we keep passing it on. I'm not going to let you just go to church and sit in church and you don't know what this is about. I'm going to form you to know God. I'm going to form you to understand your salvation. I'm going to form you to be a disciple. It is my responsibility not for you to like me, not for you to be my friend, not for you to make me look good, not for you to represent me well. It is my responsibility to form you for the next generation. And they'll say, well, how in the world did you come out like this? My mama formed me. My daddy formed me. My grandparents formed me. And parents will form their kids and then take their kids to the grandparents, and the grandparents unform them. How are you want your kids raised? Good. I'm in agreement. You tell me how you do it, and I'm going to be 100% in agreement with you. I'm not here to spoil your kids or to do opposite of you. I'm here to form you and help you have the best kids that the next generation will look back. They will be leaders in the next generation. My whole growing up, Kevin, my dad never told me once he loved me. He loved me. He just never told me. There's not one picture of me growing up that my mother ever held me. Ever held me. Did my mother love me? Absolutely, she loved me. But because of woundedness and brokenness and lack of things, and do you know my mother never holding me? Do you know that affected me? It was an environment. And they never got divorced. 55 years of marriage. But can I tell you something? If you've never been told this, there is no divorce that can be healed. Every divorce is a permanent damage in your life. Parents, listen to this. Children, listen to this. You cannot heal what divorce did. It cannot be healed. Now, you can learn how to live through it. You can learn how to overcome it. But there are things that you missed in a divorce that you can't get back. That's why God says, I hate divorce. Now it's just, well, we're just not compatible. Divorce is absolutely distortion and distorting of the next generation, because there's things. I didn't have a dad in my life. I'm just using that as an example. You cannot not have a dad in your life. It doesn't matter how many men and mentors and groups you're in. You can't replace dad in what dad didn't do. You are permanently, you've got areas that are empty. Now, God can love you and you can be whole and you can be complete, but you miss certain things that you can't ever get back. God can't heal everything. Divorce cannot be fixed. It can be reconciled, but there's things that cannot be put back in. There's things from me not being held on my mom and just pondering. There's things that I missed. I don't have a connection to. It doesn't mean I can't be productive and I can't love people and all that. It just means there's some missing components. See, culture celebrates visibility. Heaven honors carrying. Can you give me shaping one? See, what do you see beyond what you're seeing? What are you seeing beyond? Pondering is looking beyond what's in the car seat beside you. It's looking beyond what's in your stomach. It's looking beyond what the 4th grader is or the 8th grader is. It's looking into the future, because they are going to be adults and they are becoming now. Braxton is not a year ago looked different in height and everything than he looks right now. Jada, they're becoming. They're becoming. And it said Mary pondered all these things in her heart. She constantly was looking at Jesus as he was becoming, and all the things she heard. What is he becoming? What is my role to help him become? What can I do? How do I create the environment that he becomes? How do I create the environment? Are y'all with me? Show me you see at the bottom, they're watching, they're learning, they're absorbing, they're becoming, they will impact. Next one. What are they? See, Mary didn't understand, but she pondered. She reflected. She observed. She held things internally. She was like, I know God said this. How can I do this so He will fulfill what God said. Imagine trying to form your child and believe in God when all the whispers are you're hearing around town. Imagine nurturing peace when pressure surrounds you everywhere you go. See, everybody around Mary saw pregnancy. They saw immorality. They saw a mystery. Very few understood the purpose that she carried. See, agape carries, agape nurtures, agape protects, and agape remains present. I want to just share this. See, how do you know if something is agape in parenting? Agape is the ability to carry something when it becomes painful. It's very possible at times our children can become painful to us. Situations, it could be sickness, it could be decisions, it could be choices, it could be things that happen. But see, Mary carried even though things were painful. See, mothers, this is the thing about mothers. We see mothers, but see, mothers carry homes when exhausted. Mothers carry their children when they're emotionally drowning. Mothers carry pressure quietly. They can carry financial stress. They can carry atmospheres. They can carry broken marriages and relationships. They carry all these things, but yet the children never see it. Can I tell you, Mary experienced some wild emotions and feelings and pressures. Luke 2:35. This was an interesting scripture when I was reading about Mary. And a sword, she was told, and a sword will pierce through your own soul also, that the secret thoughts and purposes of many hearts may be brought out. She was told that a sword will pierce your own soul because of what she carried. Mary carried Jesus at birth. She carried Jesus in her mind, and she carried Jesus in her heart. She pondered him. How much carrying do you carry your children? What Mary loved deeply wounded her. What she loved deeply wounded her. John 19:25. But by the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sisters, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. Can you imagine standing there watching your son struggling to breathe? Gasping to breathe. The same child which you protected from danger, she can no longer protect. The same hands which you held as a baby, now pierced right in front of your eyes. The baby boy you once wrapped in clothes now watches the soldiers strip him and gamble over his garments. She carried him into the world, and now the world rejects him, and he hangs on a cross, gasping for breath, and she is within distance of seeing this, but she couldn't do anything about it. And what did she do? She stayed. See, agape stays even when pain exists. Not because it felt good, not because she understood everything. None of that. Mary stayed because love does that. She loved her son. She said yes to the process. She created the environment, and she stayed with him through it all. Moms, you have a tremendous assignment. You have a tremendous process that God has given you, and I am so thankful for you. I am proud of you. Some do it well, some don't do it some well, some try hard, some don't care. There's all kinds of thoughts and processes out there. But I'm not here to, I hope this isn't a negative message. I hope it is a shift that you are not here as a role and you're not here in comparison, but you're here to say, I am here as a carrier for the next generation. That's a big responsibility. Real love stays near when it hurts. I remember when I was in the military, my mom would just come. If I was in any issue, any trouble, my mom would drive 5-6 hours. She would always, when I first started our business, it was the Dangerous Curves Auto Detailing. My mom sent me a check for $100 and says, I'm investing in your son. I still have the check, didn't cash it. I didn't need her $100. I kept the check. My mom always sent me scripture. She says, I'm always praying. My mom was there for me. And because she wasn't there at times or she didn't know what to do, I don't hold that against her, because we do things that we don't know what we're doing now. See, Jesus needed a portal, and moms, you are a portal. You are a portal that will either fear will come into your child, insecurity will come into your child, anger will come into your child. You are a portal because you create an atmosphere, and that atmosphere, that climate, that environment is a portal. And in that portal, there can be healing, there can be security, there can be confidence, there can be all kinds of energy, if you want to use that term, that you are conveying to your child. You are showing them agape love. But remember this, regardless what flows through you, it will eventually touch others. If it's anger, it's going to touch others. If it's betrayal, it's going to touch others. If it's insecurity, it's going to affect others. What that environment you create and I create, it is going to touch others in the next generation. We have one more of the shaping. Okay, is there another one? See, carrying, yep, that's the end. That's the end one. We'll just leave that one there. See, that's what they are. That's who they are now. But they're not going to stay here. Elisha, I want to tell you, that picture right there your dad sent me, and it's one of my favorite. And I'm sure, listen, be proud of that picture. It may not, you don't see another kid up there with a squirrel. But I want to tell you something. It's called masculinity. Yeah. Most kids will run from a squirrel 20 foot from them. You're sitting there holding it, boy. Yes. I'm an outdoorsman. It's all right. You go shoot you some deer. I've shot a many a squirrel. Nothing wrong with it. It is who you are. Don't let anybody shape you to be a gamer or a nerd, and that's how you have to be. If you want to be a Daniel Boone, you go be a Daniel Boone. Because the nerds have to eat your squirrels. I'm an outdoorsman. I like outdoors. When I saw that picture, I was like, that's my boy right there. Yeah. So you're carrying atmosphere, moms. You're carrying identity, and you're carrying these children through an environment, and you're helping them be formed. So what made me cry was I see shame as shame. And I have to be honest, I've not looked at him as what is he going to be like in 20 years. I just see shame as shame. And I see Elisha as Elisha. And Amelia as Amelia. And Roman as Roman. But I said, God, open my eyes to see and help form them for what they're going to be and what they're going to become. Because some of the greatest acts of motherhood is not dramatic. Not Rania, but Brianna and Lisa and Michelet, I got some news to tell you. Your greatest moments is not an award at a dance studio or a basketball championship. They're part of growing up. But if you put your life on a paper award, I've been in homes, Diane, and I've been in homes where a young girl had hundreds and hundreds, hundreds of first place awards. Not even in it. Got married, or lived with their boyfriend, all kinds of stuff. An award is not impressive. Let me just be honest. I'm not impressed by awards. I'm impressed by forming. Are you becoming a young lady? Are you interacting with people? Can you carry a conversation on? Are you productive? Do you ask questions? Those are the things that's going to get you a job. Those are the things that's going to keep you married. Those are the things that's going to impact the next generation. So you know what's going to happen? One day, all that stuff you got is going to be put in a box and it's going to be stuck somewhere. Am I right, Richard? They won't have any purpose in life. They were a memory that was formed, but your forming is not a memory. It's going to have impact on people around them. It's going to have impact on work. It was going to have impact in the community. It's going to have impact on friends. It's going to be impact, not performance. These are our future generation. Mary carried Jesus into the world. So my question to you is, what are you carrying into your world? We're all carrying something. What are you carrying on a day-to-day? I hope that I am maturing to carry Jesus everywhere I go. His presence, His love, His nature, His character. And I get busy and I don't always produce that. That doesn't always emerge. I hope this message helped you today to see not your role but your assignment. I'm not real big on teaching traditional messages. I'm not here to celebrate mothers. I'm thankful for who you are, but you've been celebrated. It's time to understand you have a role. It's more than a celebrating. It's more than a flower. It's more than acknowledging you one day a year. It is helping you and I understand that you are a carrier of life. You are a portal for the next generation. Diane, did you want to share something? Notice my time, please.
I asked him if I could share a little bit this morning, and it's going to be very, very little. And I didn't know that he was going to do what he did up there. So it kind of got me a little choked up. So bear with me, okay? I want to look at Mother's Day from a different perspective. I want to look at it from a mother's view, looking at her children. I know it's today. The day is the day that the children show honor and love to their parents. I want to tell you what it looks like from a mama's point of view, from this mama's point of view. Whew. It's not supposed to be like this. I want to start from the youngest to the oldest. Not every child has to be birthed from your loins to be your child, for you to think of as your child. So the youngest is Casey. We had the opportunity to parent him for a while. He moved into our home. And the thing I want to focus on is see bits and pieces of yourself in each of your children. Find out what is it that they picked out to mimic you on or to do as you do. I'm telling you, it'll keep you on your toes to make sure that whatever that is, you're going to do the best you can at it. With Casey, I want to say I can see he and I are creative. We both share. Every time we see something really creative, he'll text it to me or I'll send it to him via text. So, Casey, I thank you for allowing me to be your mama for a while. And then the next is Brianna. Now, what she inherited from me, y'all might not think it's a big deal, but she inherited her love for laughter. We love to laugh. We drove this man crazy. He always said, all y'all ever do is laugh, laugh, laugh. And we'd text each other on the couch with him in the middle, and we would just laugh at our text. He would literally have to get up and go out of the room so we wouldn't mess with his TV show. But let me tell you, laughter doeth good. It's good for the body. It's good for the soul. So don't put a little dim light on laughter. It is so good. And I have had my best laughs and my longest laughs with Brianna. Thank you for allowing me to adopt you. I'm telling you, I may not have birthed these two from my loins, but they're my babies. My youngest son, my other youngest son, the one that I did birth, inherited my love for animals. He's got his little farm. He's got his little chickens and his billy goats and any other thing that creepy crawls. And I appreciate that out of my son, Jonathan. Heather, her athleticism, her energy, her love for health, running, she got that from Mommy. I mean, from the time she was able to walk, she walked very early. She stood up, pulled up and stood up her first time when she was 5 months old. She was only this tall, you know? And she took her first steps and was able to go wherever she wanted to go at 6 months of age. She was fast, very fast learner. Then she hasn't slowed down since. Anybody that's been around Heather knows her energy level. And I was a runner, so she picked that up from me. And what Tim was just sharing about Mary having to watch her son gasp for his last breath, I've been there. I've been there with my oldest, my firstborn. Hardest thing I've ever had to face, because I had to agree to let him go. Just like Mary, she had to agree to let him go. Charlie inherited my love for cooking, and he was a good cook. Now, he had other things, his singing ability, his music ability, he didn't get that from me. But watching a child take, and he will always be a child in my eyes. Your children never enter your mind as an adult. They're always your babies. They're my babies. I know. I told everybody at the hospital, do not kiss him on his forehead. That's mine. The first time I saw him, I kissed his forehead. And I was the last one to kiss that forehead. But I can't imagine seeing the pain and suffering that Mary had to watch at the foot of that cross. I just can't imagine it. I know the pain I felt. Can you imagine what hers had to be? And it was for us. You know, Shakima's always said, she's my daughter. And I do. Shakima's one that has been with me for almost forever. Right there. That girl right there. Lisa. I've always seen her as a daughter. You got my tenacity. If you don't know what tenacity is, look it up. She's determined to see something through. I don't care how bad the problems are that face you. Trying to complete it, she's going to get it done. But she's more like him in her personality. And I'm not the only one that recognizes it. She tells me, I'm just like him. I don't know if he sees it or not, but we see it, don't we? We see it. Shakima got my love for style and fashion and design. Every one of you in here, I love you. I'm the mama of the house. I would say I am the eldest in this house. How old are you, Richard? I'm 73. I got everybody beat. So I can be your mama. And I will be your mama. I will be your mama. I'm Madi. I love every one of you on an individual basis. And you know what? Everybody I talk to, I try to see something that I have in me, that's in you, that I can identify with and latch on to. You're a runner. You're a runner. You love to cook. I want to urge every mama in here, look at your children. Find that thing that you see that they are replicating from you. As long as it's a good trait, you want it to be a good trait, and you want to nurture that. You want to feed that. And that's a good start of starting a good environment. This message today hit different for me. It really did. I didn't do everything right. As a matter of fact, I didn't start doing things right until I got grown and my kids were out of the house. And that's how I can tell you how to be a better parent, because I know to tell you to do opposite from what I did. If you have any questions, Lisa's calling me all the time, Ma, we need to sit down. Bree's all the time calling me, Ma, and then sometimes she even says, will you talk to Rania? But see, I got to cut that string. You got to start being the one talking to Rania, not me. But let this whole message today sink down deep, 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 deep into those places of your heart that you cannot lose it. You don't have any idea how important everything that he said today was. Dads, I know I'm talking about mom. Today is Mama's Day. But dads, this is on you too. Look for that in your children. Look for that in your sons as well as your daughters. And help them get there. Help them be a better man than what you are. I know that's what PT is wanting for all of you guys in here. He wants you to be a better person than he was and that he is now. Big shoes to fill. But I'm biased. But look at your children. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. And don't just let your children celebrate you. You celebrate those children because they're the reason you're celebrating today.